Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Story Podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Hope. Today we're focusing on a topic that comes up in almost every conversation: how to talk about your daily routine in English.
This is one of those topics that sounds simple, but it's actually a great way to practice speaking clearly and confidently. Whether you're in class, at work, or meeting someone new, people often ask, "What's your typical day like?" Or "How do you usually spend your time?"
And here's the thing: just saying I wake up, I work, I eat, I sleep isn't enough. If you want to sound natural, you need the right phrases to explain your habits, time frames, and daily activities smoothly.
So, in this episode, we'll teach you useful expressions like, "I usually start my day with," and "I wind down by," to help you describe your mornings, afternoons, and evenings in a way that flows naturally.
Plus, we'll give real examples, quick dialogues, and end with a fun speaking challenge where you'll describe your full daily routine in 1 minute.
Let's jump in and help you talk about your day with more confidence and fluency.
Let's start with the beginning of your day. Most people begin describing their routine with something like, I wake up at 7. That's okay, but it sounds basic and robotic. If you want to sound more fluent and natural, try using these upgraded phrases instead.
I usually start my day with,
This is a great phrase to describe your regular morning routine.
example, I usually start my day with a cup of coffee and some quiet time.
Example: I usually start my day with stretching and checking my calendar.
My mornings always begin with,
This sounds a little more formal and is great for interviews or class presentations.
example, my mornings always begin with a cold shower. It wakes me up immediately.
Example: my mornings always begin with preparing lunch for my kids.
First thing in the morning,
This is great for daily conversations. It's short, friendly, and easy to use.
example, first thing in the morning, I check my emails and news headlines.
Example: first thing in the morning, I take my dog for a walk. Let's try a quick exchange using these phrases. Mark, how does your day usually start?
My mornings always begin with a workout. Nothing crazy, just 20 minutes of movement to get the blood flowing.
Nice, I usually start my day with journaling and coffee. It helps me feel focused before the day gets busy.
See? These phrases are easy to remember and make your English sound more natural.
Next, we'll show you how to describe what happens during your day, at work, at school, or whatever your routine looks like.
So now that you've talked about how your day starts, let's move into what happens during the rest of your day. This is where a lot of learners get stuck. They just list actions like, I work, I eat lunch, I go home. It's okay, but it doesn't sound like natural conversation.
Right. If you want to sound more fluent, you need to connect your ideas using time-based phrases. These help structure your thoughts and make your routine easier to follow.
After that, I usually
Example: after that, I usually log into work around 9:30.
example. After that, I usually take my kids to school.
This helps you link your activities without sounding like a robot.
In the afternoon, I tend to,
Example: in the afternoon, I tend to feel tired, so I take a short walk.
example. In the afternoon, I tend to work on tasks that need more focus. Notice how tend to makes it sound like a habit, not a strict rule. It's perfect for casual conversation.
Around 3 p.m.,
Example, around 1 p.m., I have lunch and check my messages.
Example: around 3:30, I take a short break from work.
Even if your routine isn't exact, using around makes your English more flexible and realistic.
Let's do a quick dialogue. Mark, what's your typical day like after breakfast?
After that, I usually check my to-do list and get started on emails. Around 11, I take a short break, then keep working until lunch.
Nice. For me, in the afternoon, I tend to work on creative stuff like writing or planning. I save the easier tasks for the morning.
These phrases help you add detail and rhythm to your routine, so it doesn't sound like a checklist.
Next up, how to talk about the evening and winding down after a long day.
Ending your day.
All right, now let's move to the final part of your day, how you wind down and get ready for bed. A lot of English learners just say, I eat dinner, I go to bed. But again, we want to help you sound more natural and expressive.
Exactly. This part of your routine is a great way to show personality. Everyone has different ways of relaxing, so here are some useful phrases to describe your evening in a more interesting way. In the evening, I usually,
Example, in the evening, I usually make dinner and watch a show.
example. In the evening, I usually go for a walk to clear my head.
This phrase is simple, but it helps you ease into the last part of your day.
I wind down by,
Example, I wind down by listening to music or reading.
example, I wind down by stretching and doing some deep breathing.
This one's really useful. It sounds calm, mature, and fluent, and it's way better than just saying I relax.
Before bed, I like to,
Example, before bed, I like to plan the next day.
example, before bed, I like to put my phone away and read a few pages.
These little habits can be great conversation starters too. People love hearing what others do to unwind.
So, Hope, how do you usually end your day?
In the evening, I usually cook something simple and put on a podcast. I wind down by stretching a bit, and before bed, I like to write in a journal. It helps clear my mind.
That sounds relaxing. For me, I wind down by listening to music, and before bed, I like to review my calendar for the next day.
See how much more natural that sounds than just saying, I go to bed at 10? These phrases let you express your routine in a more fluent and personal way.
Now it's your turn. Coming up next is your 1-minute challenge. All right, it's challenge time, our favorite part of the episode. This is where you put everything you've learned into action.
Your task is simple. Give a 1-minute talk in English about your daily routine. This will help you organize your thoughts, build fluency, and practice speaking clearly from start to finish.
How to structure your 1-minute talk. Step 1. Start with your morning. I usually start my day with, my mornings always begin with.
Step 2. Describe your day. After that, I usually, around 2, in the afternoon, I tend to.
Step 3. End with your evening routine. In the evening, I usually, I wind down by, before bed, I like to.
My mornings always begin with a short workout, just 15 minutes to wake up. After that, I usually have a quick breakfast and start work around 9. Around noon, I take a break for lunch and stretch a little. In the afternoon, I tend to focus on creative tasks, writing, planning, things like that. In the evening, I usually relax with a good show or some reading. I wind down by putting on soft music. And before bed, I like to check my calendar for the next day.
Now it's your turn. You can say it out loud, record yourself, or even write it first and read it. The key is to practice using full sentences and those natural phrases we taught you. And if you want to level up, try doing one version for your weekday routine and another for your weekend routine. It's a great way to build vocabulary for different situations.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the English Story Podcast. You now have everything you need to talk about your daily routine with confidence.
Let's quickly review what we covered. You learned how to describe your morning using phrases like, I usually start my day with, how to walk through your daily activities using time-based phrases like, after that, and around noon, and how to talk about your evenings with expressions like, I wind down by, and before bed, I like to.
You also did a 1-minute challenge, an excellent way to turn passive learning into active speaking. Even 1 minute a day can make a huge difference.
If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone learning English. These everyday topics are the foundation of real conversation.
And if you want to practice even more, try describing tomorrow's routine or your ideal weekend. The more you speak, the more fluent you'll become.
Thanks for listening to the English Story Podcast. We'll be back soon with more practical English that fits your real life.
Until next time, keep practicing and keep it simple.